Hello friends. Hi. How is everyone? It's Brina and welcome to brinadaily, where you get your daily dose of Brina. Okay, so three things, right? The first one's like less important. It's just the fact that it doesn't really matter. You guys wouldn't even know, but I'm not wearing my glasses because like if I wear my glasses, right? First of all, even though I bought them to be anti-glare, they are very much glaring at me. And also, like, I don't know if that's annoying where you see the ring light in the glasses. So I'm just going to go kind of blind. Kind of blind. So that's number one. Number two, I don't remember what my actual second disclaimer was supposed to be. But number three, which is the most important disclaimer, is that, number two. Well, let's start with number three, because number three will kind of segue into number two. Number two, LOL, this is just like the movie that I'm about to talk about, where it's like 1, 2, 3, but like you don't know who 1, 2, and 3 is. Number 3, 2 is that this is about Spider-Man No Way Home, which is the new Spider-Man movie, the new MCU Spider-Man movie that came out really recently. It came out last year, really, but like at the end, I believe. I just watched it yesterday, and so today is the 4th, I believe. I watched it yesterday on the 3rd, so like I'm kind of late, but I'm like whatever. I watched it regardless, and I loved it, and I literally can't stop thinking about it. Like when I love a movie and I watch it, or just any sort of media, and I just can't stop thinking about it, my number one thing to do is just like talk about it. So I just want to talk about it with you guys. So that being said, spoilers. I'm not gonna even try to hide spoilers. Like I want to talk about this thing. So there's spoilers. If you haven't watched it, and you don't care about spoilers, then like you can still watch this. But like I honestly say don't even watch this. Like don't even bother watching it, because like I want you to watch that movie. That movie is so good. And I do have like another disclaimer in terms of that, but let's go back to number 2, 3, which is I'm talking off my dome here. I didn't write any notes. This is gonna be like completely like off the top of my head. Yeah, so if it's like kind of disorganized, hopefully it's not too disorganized where I'm just like, more than like I usually am, but like I'm just going off the top of my head. I'll try to make it kind of like categorized, but yeah. So Spider-Man Far From Home. Let me give you like a quick little synopsis. So this is, if you're watching this, you probably already know what happens. I don't need to give you even a synopsis, but long story short, Spider-Man's identity is revealed. It turns out like everyone finds out because of Mysterio. Everyone finds out, I forgot my honey mustard, but it's okay. Because of Mysterio, everyone finds out that Peter Parker is Spider-Man, or Spider-Man is Peter Parker. And not for some reason. Everyone hates Spider-Man now. He becomes famous, but it's really infamous, which means like bad famous, because Mysterio kind of like badmouths him. So he's like, oh, Spider-Man killed me. He wants to be the only hero, blah, 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 blah. And also there's this like the reporter guy, I think it's James something, it's JJJ, right? Jameson, who's like also kind of like feeling the flames of the hatred, where he's like giving all this propaganda and all these like opinions and stuff like that. So long story short, Spider-Man becomes this like infamous person. It's like half and half. Like I don't think it's like as bad. I think this is like one of the faults of the movie, where it's like they don't really show the serious implications. They kind of like brush over it. It's like, oh, you might go to jail, and then they kind of brush over it. It's like, oh, these people might hate you, and like they're throwing bricks at your house, but they kind of like they don't really focus on it. The big focus is that because of this bad reputation, Peter Parker and his friends who are associated with him can't go to college now, or at least not the college of their choice. So that's really the big like conflict, which is like, that's one thing. I guess the first thing we're gonna talk about. I also have Moscato, guys. We're gonna drink Moscato. Let me just open it now. That's one thing that I didn't like. Or honestly, let me just say it right now. The first half of this movie are the whole movie itself. Like, okay, it's hard to talk about this movie because I kind of want to just like open it up. But let's finish the synopsis first, okay? So he goes to college. Well, he can't go to college. So he basically asked Doctor Strange, who's like the magician guy of the Marvel universe with my cup, to make a spell to go. Is it to go back? It's not to go back in time. It's for everyone to forget that he's Spider-Man. So it'll be just basically going back to normal, right? I'm forgetting spell. And while he's doing the spell, Peter Parker keeps like interrupting, and he's like, oh wait, no, I need these people to remember. This would be really bad if they don't remember. So like, long story short, the spell gets messed up. And then so the spell gets messed up. And what happens is that everyone who knows Peter Parker ends up getting, everyone who knows Peter Parker, it's like 5, 6, 7 people, and gets pulled into the MCU universe, right? So you have the villains from the original Spider-Man trilogy, like the Sam Raimi Spider-Man, and you have the villains from the Amazing Spider-Man all come in and like do this thing. What else? Okay, so long story short, so Doctor Strange is like, okay, we're getting these villains out of here because like this is not my problem. Like they came in when they were about to get killed. It's not our problem. They're getting out of here. So Peter Parker's like, well, not Peter. Honestly, Peter doesn't doesn't care. He's like, I mean, he cares, but he doesn't really care because he's like, listen, this is not my problem. Like they're causing issues, and like I just got back into MIT. Like the person just said that I might be able to go. So but then his Aunt May and even his girlfriend MJ is like, well, you know, they're gonna die. Because like what happened is that they got pulled into the MCU universe right before they die in their actual universe. So if they get sent back, they're gonna die. And so morality hits Peter because of like his aunt and his girlfriend. And he's like, he like kind of traps Doctor Strange, who's trying to send them back. And he's like, instead of like sending them back to die, I'm gonna send them back, but fixed, so that like instead of like being villains in their universe, they can be fixed, and then maybe like either not have powers anymore, so they can't even be villainous, or like maybe they'll just like be better people, so they won't, you know, they just won't die. They have like a chance at life. A second chance is like the big thing. And then just things just start happening. The villains are like okay with the plan, and then suddenly. Not suddenly, like it happens because of a reason, but like they just aren't okay with it, and they're like, why do you want to cure? Why would we want to be cured when we can just have power in this universe? So they do that instead, and then so it just becomes like this whole. And then the other two Spider-Men come into the universe, and so you got 3 Spider-Mans fighting all these villains, the Sinister Six, and by the end of it, everyone goes back to their own universe, and then Spider-Man, to fix, because more people are about to come in. And Doctor Strange is like, I don't know how to stop it. And Spider-Man's just like, have everyone forget who I am. Not even just Spider-Man, but have people forget Peter Parker himself. And so he does that. And so Spider-Man just has to start from scratch. Or Peter starts from scratch as Spider-Man. So, okay. I know that was like the worst summary ever, but that's literally what happened. So let's just talk about it. But the first thing I want to talk about is that I don't like that it wasn't a big deal that he was revealed to be Spider-Man. It's not that I don't like it. So, like, the whole thing about this movie is that, like, this movie is very nostalgia heavy. I think that's why so many people like it, because, like, especially if you're older, I don't know how it hits for younger people who never grew up with Sam Raimi Spider-Man, who never, like, had Amazing Spider-Man. But, like, as a person who I can't even say anything because it's so crazy. My big thing with the MCU that I thought was just so cool is that they had all these crossovers, right? So it's not just like, oh, you're having this movie, you're having this movie. It's like they are crossing over into each other. And then you have the Avengers. You know, you have your solo movies and then you have the Avengers. And you have your solo movies and you have the Avengers. It's like all the time you have these crossovers. I love crossovers ever since I was a kid. Those crossover cartoon episodes, like when you had like Timmy Turner and Jimmy Neutron crossover into each other. When you had Sweet Life on Deck with Hannah Montana, Zach and Cody. Something stupid, you know, like That's So Raven, Hannah Montana, like Wizards of Waverly Place. Like crossover episodes are always my favorite because it's just so cool. It's just so cool that like, oh, these people have like share the same universe. So that was always like my thing with like the MCU. Like I loved how they really like, you know, cross these people over and like have them share something more than just like, oh, a franchise. You know what I mean? Like, oh, you are under the Marvel name, but you're not ever gonna meet each other. It's gonna be like real life, or like, yeah, we're in the same universe, you know, like we can meet, we can talk, and we can plan. So that was always really cool. So the fact that you had the three different iterations of Spider-Man coming together, like even me just saying it, every time I think about that, like every time I see a picture or like remember the movie, I'm just like, I cannot believe that actually happened. Like I can't believe that actually happened. Like that's crazy to me. I don't know why it's crazy, because money talks. But like, who knew? That's so cool to me. That you're able to just like, because like, you know, like there's always Spider-Man discourse, like who's the best Spider-Man? Like which trilogy was the best, not trilogy, but which franchise was really the best franchise? Which portrayal of Spider-Man was, you know, there's always like this discussion of like, which one? So it's like, they're always divided, you know? And then like, also like, there's like 3 different companies. I don't know if it's 3 different companies, but it's at least 2. It's at least Sony versus like Disney/Marvel, you know? So like, you know, no one ever thinks like, oh, they're gonna cross over and like interact. It's not even just a cameo where it's like, oh, like, hey, you look like Tobey Maguire's Spider-Man, but you're playing a completely different character. Or like you say like a special little, like a one-liner and you're just like, oh yeah. great power comes with great responsibility. Someone told me that one time, and you like leave after like your 5 seconds of screen time. No, like you're actually a character and you're interacting with like Spider-Man. That's so cool. So I think it's kind of like, I want to compare this movie to which one is it? Endgame, where it's like, even though the story isn't the best, like the story is passable, right? The story itself would make the movie okay, but it's the fact that you have all these factors that make it so epic that make like the movie good, you know? If you really want to analyze and think and like, you know, just like really think about the story of No Way Home, you're gonna be kind of like, okay, this is like an okay movie. It's not a bad movie, but it's just like so many things happen randomly, so many things happen like out of coincidence or out of convenience. A lot of things just don't make sense that happen, and you're just like, okay, like this is okay. But like the epicness of it all, the epicness of like bringing back the fact that all the same actors came back, like the interactions that they had. Oh my goodness. It's just the fan moment, you know, the fan service, I guess, of it all is what makes the movie good. Like, great. And that's not, I don't want to like downplay and be like, this is the only reason. Like, no, the movie's good on its own too. Like, it's okay on its own. But like, I'm not gonna lie and say like, oh, it's it would be perfect if he didn't have all this stuff. Like, no, if there was no Tobey Maguire and Andrew Garfield, and there was no Willem Dafoe, and there was no like villains from other movies, and like, girl, would you really be this hyped up about this movie? Girl, they had random people playing the other Spider-Mans. Would you really be hyped up? No, but it's just the hype factor of it all. So I want to put that aside first. That's like, I guess that would be really number one. It's just like, it's a great movie, but not because of the story, but because of just like the experience of it all, the hype of it all, the like, just how cool it is, right? So number two is that I just don't like how, and so like when I say I don't like something, it's just like, it's not that big of a deal to me. Cause like at the end of the day, I walked away from this movie like, like I'm still thinking about it, you know? But one thing I didn't like about the movie is that, yeah, like there wasn't really a lot of stakes for Peter being Spider-Man. I wish the stakes were higher, like when he's revealed. Not that on one hand, it's like, why does it really matter that it's revealed? Because like, you know, you have a whole bunch of other superheroes in the MCU universe whose like identities are known, you know, like people know them as their superhero persona and as their real life persona. I guess the difference between us is that Peter Parker is a teenager, number one, and that it's a big shock. So it's like a sudden thing. It's not like he just revealed it. It's like a sudden like, oh, like you're Spider-Man, like, oh shoot. So it's like, you know, he's getting hit with all this like change all at once. So that could also be like why it's a big deal. Because I mean, like, honestly, if you're not known, you know, what I'm trying to say is like, if you do have a secret identity and it's suddenly revealed, or you think that's a secret, if you have a secret and it's suddenly revealed overnight, and it kind of like flips your life backwards, then yeah, I guess it is a big deal. So I'm not gonna say it's not a big deal, but I wish it was a bigger deal, other than like, I wish the stakes wasn't just like, oh, me and my friends can't get into college. Because like, I feel like there's a lot more that could come from that. I feel like they should have stuck to the, me and my friends are going to jail. We're getting investigated. Or even like, me and my friends are getting hurt. Like because there was a lot of like examples of, like people throwing bricks, people like throwing like, you know, like slime at Spider-Man, stuff like that. So I wish it was like just higher stakes. Like, okay, we can't get into college. Like that's one thing. Like, you know, like I know it's your dream college, but you could apply somewhere else. I guess the idea is that they can't get anywhere. But like, I guess in comparison of what could have been the stakes, not getting into college isn't a big stake, you know? That's one thing. Okay, so this is the first thing. What else? Okay, so Doctor Strange going with Peter, like Peter's idea for a spell, is kind of crazy in the first place. Because like Doctor Strange is like one of the smartest guys in the, well, he's not the smartest guy in the MCU, but he's like, you know, he has common sense. I think he's like one of the more down to earth guys in the MCU, like with sense, you know? So I feel like he wouldn't even have jumped to doing this spell. Also, he's doing the spell and he keeps changing it. I feel like at some point he could have stopped. Because the whole thing that, like the whole reason this happened is because he keeps like editing the spell. Well, him and Peter keep editing the spell like while he's doing it. And I feel like he has enough power where he's like, okay, you know what? If you're really gonna interrupt me twice at this point, like after the second edit, like I would have just been like, listen, let me just stop this whole thing. I think they might have added, I really can't remember. I only watched the movie once. I think they might have added a line where it's like, oh, we started the spell, we can't stop it. But like, either be like, listen, Peter, you're not getting any more. Like, shut up. Like, you're not getting any more. Or just talk it out more as to what you want. or I don't even know. Like, I feel like that's just, or just not do a spell at all. Like, I don't know. It was just, in general, Doctor Strange's character in this this movie was just so like, like, are you stupid? Are you dumb? Are you stupid or dumb or huh? That was number one. Like, and like, I also feel like, okay, Doctor Strange, I'm a powers and abilities type of girl. So I feel like his power and ability, I love people who are like super strong. I love the, what do you call those people? I like the, basically the character who's like just so strong, like you can't beat them. I love those kind of characters because like I just have like this power. I was about to be like power kink now, but I have like this power, like this want of like powers. I just think it's so cool. So like characters like with awesome powers, like just like, you know, just like I like them. So Doctor Strange is like one of those people who like has like one of those like powers that just is just awesome and amazing. And so I feel like it's just so unrealistic for him to be like, I feel like this movie painted him in like a bad light, not only like logically, like, oh, like why are you making the decisions you're making, but also just like power wise, because you're telling me that you can't beat Peter Parker. You're telling me you can't be, not to say that Spider-Man like isn't strong, like I'm not gonna downplay Peter Parker's like powers. He's obviously a strong guy with strong abilities. He's super smart, he's super stealthy, but like you lost in your own dimension. That's embarrassing. I just feel like that was very much a convenience battle, which I mean, all Marvel movies have that, where it's like, okay, really realistically, you wouldn't win this battle, but because of convenience sake, you're gonna win it. So like on one hand, I'm just like, whatever. But, like I'm just like, I'm kind of hurt just because like, you know, I value Doctor Strange's power so much. So like I don't see how you could have won that. But whatever. Okay, what else? Okay. So I know this movie, another thing that kind of bothered me, I know this movie is about second chances. So I mean, at first when Aunt May and Peter were like, you know, Aunt May kind of convinced him to like give the villains second chance. At first I was like, I'm not cynical, I'm a positive person, but I'm also kind of realistic, right? I try to be like realistic. So I will positively be realistic. And so I was like, positively, these villains have killed people. But I guess it goes to the point of like, just because people kill people, does that mean it's okay for you to kill those people? You know? Because like at the end of the day, if you think that these people killing people is wrong, then you shouldn't kill those people, right? I mean, obviously it's a lot more nuanced than that. It's a lot less black and white. It's like, oh, well, if you don't want them to kill people, then you don't kill people. But like, if we're going by that logic, okay, I guess it makes sense to give them a second chance, especially for some of them who like really don't have control of like what they do, as we saw in like at least two of them, where they're not like all the way there. It's like, yes, you're still doing the thing, so you should be held accountable, but like at the same time, it's not really you, you know? So is that really your fault? So like you know, after the movie, I appreciated that. But during the movie, I was like, girl, if you don't just like send these people back and just solve your problems. But okay, I do appreciate that he did that. He had a moral code, and like, you know, it kind of goes with his character, like him just trying to do his best. But my thing is, okay, even after I accepted that, okay, yeah, like do your best to like kind of give these people a second chance, why are you just bringing them into the apartment? Like, you don't know these people. You don't, like, you know that they're villains. You know that they kill people. You know that they hurt people. So you're just gonna like let them go freely into the apartment and just like do it. Like, girl, I was like, okay, he's gonna save them, but like he's gonna still keep them contained, and then somehow they're gonna escape. No, he let them just roam in the apartment just free. They didn't even really, I guess, okay. You see, there's always like a kind of back and forth. It's like, okay, I guess because he had the box, because like basically the box that Doctor Strange made, if you just press the button, like everyone will be sent back and they'll be killed. So like, I guess his thing was like, okay, well, press the button, like if you guys even try anything, I'm letting you free, but if you try anything, like, like I'm pressing the button, y'all are getting out of here. But like, I don't know. At the same time, like you don't even need to be going through all of this. On that note though, the scene where they're all in the apartment, can I just say that Willem Dafoe, first of all, is like, has my heart. I don't know if he's married or not, but like, if you're not, Willem Dafoe, please give me a call, because like, I've loved you since forever. Well, I'm not gonna say forever. Since I watched The Lighthouse, I just always thought you were like so talented, and I love him. And I mean, I'm sorry that it took me till The Lighthouse to find out he was talented, but like, he also showed his talent here. When I tell you, he is like, he basically ate, he killed everyone, metaphorically, as in like, all the other villains could just go home. If it was a contest of like who the best villain is, all y'all go home. He ate. He took the plates. He didn't even just take his plate. He took everyone else's plate. Like, he ate. Right, he ate. He's like, he was so good without them. I know everyone keeps saying like, oh, he's good without the mask. Like he's such a good actor. He's such a good actor. Very scary. Can I just say it? Yeah. So like, he's basically the reason that everything goes down the way it goes down, because like he's Willem Dafoe. He's something Mr. Osborn on one half. It's kind of like Jekyll and Hyde, right? He's like Mr. Osborn, which is like the sane version of him, just sane and scared. And then he has like the Hyde version, which is just like, Hyde's a bad one, right? And then he has like the Green Goblin like persona that's taking control. And so it turned out the Green Goblin was like working undercover inside of him. So he basically convinces all the villains. So he's the reason everything goes down. And then he kills Aunt May. Two things. Green Goblin was whooping Spider-Man's butt. Okay, when I tell you, I watched it with my cousin and his wife. We were like, does the Green Goblin powers like make him strong too? I'm not gonna lie to you, I'm not like familiar with my Spider-Man lore, and I watched the Sam Raimi one so long ago, so I'm not sure. Was like the Green Goblin powers make him super strong? Because this guy was whooping Spider-Man's behind. I'm talking about throwing I love in fight choreography, especially in superhero movies, when it's just like, it's not just like powers, like you see the CGI powers, but they're also like throwing fists. This guy was whooping his butt. He was throwing him through the floor. There was one point where he like threw him through a few stories on the floor. Spider-Man like kind of like flies out of he doesn't fly, but he like somehow gets out of the building. Someone like fights him outside, throws him back in. Green Goblin comes right back. Pop, pop, pop. I was like, whoa, this man's strong. This man is strong. That was one of the fight choreography in this movie was just so good. So good. This man is strong. Oh my gosh. That was like one thing. So I love that. I love the Green Goblin. I like all the villains actually. But like Green Goblin ate. He ate. Left no crumbs. Not even any crumbs for anyone else to take. Dr. Octo was also my fave, like one of my faves. But like he was kind of just more like a vocal fave. Like he was just because of like what he was saying, like his delivery of everything, like how he was so cranky and grumpy. But like Green Lantern, that was something else. That was something else. He carried the movie. I think so. Not that the movie needed carrying, but he carried the movie. I'm trying to think. Can we just jump into the Spider-Man parts? Like, okay, I want to say, okay, out of all the Spider-Mans, right? Because everyone kind of wants to know, like, who's your favorite Spider-Man still? I have an appreciation for all of them. I think they all have their own strengths and weaknesses. My favorite has always been Tobey Maguire Spider-Man, because I grew up on Sam Raimi's Spider-Man. I grew up on superhero movies, period. Like the original X-Men, what's that group? Not the Incredibles, because that's Disney Pixar. The Fantastic Four, the original one, Jessica Alba, and then Sam Raimi's Spider-Man. Like, I grew up on those movies. That's why I love superheroes. Even though I don't read comics, I'm not gonna lie to you guys, but that's why I love superheroes. I love comics. That's why I love powers. I like the idea of like, I think that's why I got into like Harry Potter and anime, because like I grew up on those movies. So Tobey Maguire will always have my heart. Okay, I'm sorry. I know it's like, it might be nostalgia talking or what, but like Tobey Maguire Spider-Man will always be my number one. Okay, you can't outdo the doer. Second in line would be Tom Holland's Spider-Man, and third in line would be Andrew Garfield's. Even though I didn't hate Andrew Garfield's Spider-Man, I just didn't really have an opinion. I just kind of was like, whatever. Like, after Tobey Maguire's Spider-Man, I don't have an opinion on anyone's Spider-Man, because like Tobey Maguire's my number one. Like, who cares about number 2 and 3 when you got number 1? But Andrew Garfield ate, okay? If Green Goblin ate with the villains, Andrew Garfield ate with the Spider-Mans. He made sure. He was like, listen, I heard what y'all said about me. I'm coming in and I'm eating. I'm not leaving a crumb. Everyone ate, honestly. Just seeing everyone together and like hearing their different like takes on everything was really fun. Like how Tobey Maguire Spider-Man was like the oldest, like he's like the uncle Spider-Man, or like the oldest brother Spider-Man, and then Andrew Garfield is like the cousin or slash like older brother, and then like Tom Holland Spider-Man is like the newer Spider-Man, but he has like certain experience, you know, like it's just really cool, like this, like, and like they said in the movie, like I wish I had brothers, like this brotherly dynamic of like oldest brother, middle brother, youngest brother, or like uncle, cousin, you know, like brother, you know, like it's just, I love their interactions together. I think Tobey Maguire kind of came in a little stiff. Like his Spider-Man was a little bit weird, but like he came into his own as the movie progressed. I think the first interaction that they had was like weird, but then again, I always kind of cringe at emotional stuff, so maybe that's why. Maybe because it like jumped from humor straight to emotion, but like it was a great connecting factor. I always considered, like, I know they all had their Uncle Ben, minus Tom Holland Spider-Man, but I always considered like Tom Holland Spider-Man's Uncle Ben moment to be like Tony Stark dying. But obviously I was wrong, because his Uncle Ben moment was Aunt May dying. That was a really emotional scene. I don't know, I know I'm all over the place, but like I just love their interactions with each other. I love how like Andrew Garfield Spider-Man and Tobey Maguire Spider-Man, like, I don't know, they just clicked. They were like besties at the end of the movie. Like Tom Holland Spider-Man was like all over the place, like, you know, trying to, yeah, because it's his universe. He's trying to fix everything / get revenge. But like Amazing Spider-Man and Sam Raimi Spider-Man were like this. They were like like brothers who were like 1 year apart. It was really nice. It was just a nice little feeling to see them all together. I still can't fathom that they were all together for real. Like, that's crazy. How much money do you think they offer them? Probably crazy amounts. Because like, you think they'd be like, hell no, like I'm not doing this. Like my Spider-Man days are done. Like I'm getting compared, like I'm being hated. But no, like everyone came back. Not everyone, but like pretty much everyone. I'm just like, bro, that was amazing. And then when they all fought together, they all swang together. I will say I don't like how Tom Holland Spider-Man was technically the leader of the trio. Just because like I feel like Sam Raimi Spider-Man, because he started the whole thing. Okay, number one, he should have the most, because he's like the oldest. And it's not implied that like he gave up his Spider-Man title. So he's like Spider-Man since he was a teenager up until like now when he's like an adult, right? So he has all the experience of being Spider-Man. And then like most of the villains were his villains. Well, yeah, most of the villains in the Sinister Six were his villains. But so like, I don't know. And then also just on principle of him being the oldest. And then also on principle of him being the OG Spider-Man, like the OG live action Spider-Man, I was just like, girl, make him the leader. But like at the same time, I really do appreciate that like fact of like, hey, you guys aren't used to fighting in a team, which is really true. Even though Spider-Man technically isn't either, but like, you know, like he has way more team experience. He has his backup. Like even if you're not talking about the Avengers, he also has like Ned and like now MJ. Like we're helping him out, so he does have a lot more team experience. So I guess, you know, on one hand, I'm just like kind of annoyed just on principle of him being the OG Spider-Man and like technically the wisest one. But like also like it makes sense. So like whatever. And then can we talk about Andrew Garfield Spider-Man finally saving MJ the right way? Like the big thing about Gwen Stacy's death is like she would have died regardless, right? Either she fell. Either she's like pushed off and she dies, you know, like slamming into, you know, with the impact, or, and this is tragically what happened, she dies because Spider-Man tried to save her and then like ends up snapping her neck. But either way, she's gonna die. And that's the like tragedy of it all. So like the fact that and I didn't see it coming. I know a lot of people saw it coming, but I never saw it coming. The fact that he was able to save her the right way, or it's like, no, you don't have to do this or that, and then she still dies. Like there is a right way to save her. It hurt so good. Like I actually cried. Because I was just like, bro. And like the tragedy of it all, like this movie really reminds you that like, because like throughout the movie I was just like, damn, like Tom Holland Spider-Man really is going through it. Because like first movie he got beat up, but second movie, like not even in just his own solo movies, but like just in general, like he lost Tony, he lost this person, he lost that person. He had his identity like revealed to everybody. He lost his first girlfriend's dad beat him up. Like Tom Holland Spider-Man really goes through it. And then this movie kind of reminds you that like, no, all the Spider-Mans go through it. Like that's Spider-Man's like true origin, where it's like he's a hero out of tragedy. It's not like a hero out of just like, oh, like I'm a hero. And I mean that's like most heroes are, like they're heroes out of tragedy. But like, yeah, like Spider-Man's not just like this happy-go-lucky guy. Like no, like Spider-Man goes through a lot, and like this movie really did a real good job of reminding you of like, oh wait, no, it's not just Tom Holland Spider-Man that's going through it. It's like all these Spider-Mans go through it. Like the Aunt May, the Uncle Ben, that stuff happens. Like Mary Jane, like Gwen Stacy, the Harry Osborn, like those are all tragedies, and like every Spider-Man has their own version of a tragedy happen. Multiple tragedies happen, and like it's sad. It's sad, but like, man, that was crazy. I'm trying to think of what else. Okay. MJ, I'm sorry, unpopular opinion, MJ and Peter Parker's relationship was kind of just like a lot for me. Like, I didn't feel comfortable. Number one, I feel like, especially in like number 2, like Spider-Man, I think it's Far From Home is number 2. I didn't like the fact that they kind of just jumped straight to Spider-Man has a crush on MJ, because I feel like that was like one of the most underdeveloped relationships in the entire like so under. I don't even like Nat and Bruce like at all, but even that I feel like has a little bit more development than MJ and Peter Parker, because in the first movie Peter's all about I forgot her name, but like all about that other girl, right, the class president or whatever, whoever she was, Laura's character. That's the actor's name, Laura, but like I don't remember her name. But he's all about her. He's all about her, and like the whole movie's really about him like trying to be with her, but because her dad's like a villain, he finds out like it doesn't work out. And like nowhere in the end of the movie does it like imply that like he even wants to. The most we get is like he kind of like MJ wants to be friends with him, or MJ has like a small crush on him, but like it's not even like, oh, I want to be like friends with MJ. And then suddenly in Spider-Man Far From Home, he jumps into I have a crush on MJ, I want to be with her. It's just like, where did this come from? Like, I understand time passes, like obviously time passes in the movies, but like give me some hints, like tell me like what happened, or like just make the whole movie about them developing their relationship instead of like Peter Parker like being already having a crush and being in love with her, and then she, you know, and just trying to like have a normal like date with her. Make it where he develops like feelings for her, and then wants to go on a date with her, and then realize he can't because he's like a hero, you know. So like because of that kind of like lack of foundation in the relationship, I still feel uncomfortable in their relationship to this day. I think a lot of it is like people love Zendaya, and I love Zendaya too. Let's not get it twisted before I say something that people like hate me for. But people love Zendaya and people love Tom Holland, and so like they instantly, and you know, they already knew that this is how it was gonna go. So like they instantly like, you know, it's like even though it's not developed, like this is what I want, so this is what I want to get. And then also now that they like reveal that they are a real couple, it's like even more like, okay, they're a real couple in real life, and now I get like twice of what I want, because like not only are they a real couple in real life, but they're a real couple in the franchise. So like I'm getting twice of what I want, do what I want. And it's just like I'm not like that. Like I need like my development. I need it to make sense. That being said, I understand why the romance was hammered so hard, because like because like obviously like the ending where like everyone forgets him, like they wanted to make it a big thing. And I will say their kiss scene, I think it's one of the best kiss scenes I've seen in my entire life. Like that was so romantic with the music and the swelling and the lighting. Like that was such a good kissing scene, like a goodbye kiss too, or I guess it's a we'll meet again kiss. Such a good kiss scene. But like I don't like the relationship. I'm sorry. It didn't really hit any harder for me because I already didn't like the relationship. It's not because I don't want them together. It's just like I need it to make more sense. And also I don't like I know guys are always, or just not even guys, just like people in relationships are always about the relationship. But like I feel like he talked about MJ so, like MJ influenced his choices so much. And like I was like, Peter, this is a girl that you just started dating. Like I know this is how teenagers' minds work, where it's like they're all about the person, but like literally every decision he made was like MJ. Like MJ was like the first thing on his mind. I'm just like, damn, like do you not care about Ned? He would add Ned in like as like a last minute thought. But I was like, dang, like you acting like Ned wasn't your day one from the very beginning. That was just it. Like this is like that's a nitpick. That really is a nitpick. But like it's just personally for me, I was just like really, like this is where we're going with this. Whatever. It worked out. That kiss was like amazing though. That last minute, like that last ending kiss was amazing. I want to watch that again. Like it was so good with the music. Oh, it was so good. The final fight between Peter Parker. I mean, like I said, all the fights between Peter Parker and like the Goblin were so good. The fight between the 3 Peters and all the villains were like, I don't think the fighting was good in and of itself, but just the effect of like them all. Bro, I can't believe they're all together. Last but not least, I guess we can talk about the ending of the movie. I can't remember anything else I like really care much for about the movie. Like I care about a lot, but like I can't think of anything that I want to talk about. Oh, seeing Matt Murdock was fine. Even though I thought he was gonna have a bigger role. He only showed up like as a cameo, which is fine. That was nice. After watching Daredevil years ago, I finally get the payoff, so that's cool. But the last thing we'll talk about is the ending. So at the end of the movie, like I said, Peter Parker gets it so that Doctor Strange makes a spell so that everyone forgets Peter Parker. So basically, I think this is actually a really cool ending. Even though it took us, someone put it like this, and I'm not gonna lie, I have been watching like movie reviews because I just want to, I don't know, I love movie reviews. I just want to see people talk about this freaking movie. I just want people to talk about it. So like no one in my life like wants to talk about it, so I just have to like watch other people talk about it. But something that someone said is that like they put it like this is like 6 movies worth of an origin story. Instead of like an origin story being like the first movie, you have 6 movies of an origin story. Because basically, the biggest complaint about Tom Holland that I've heard about Tom Holland's Spider-Man is that it's like the portrayal is perfect. He looks like a teenager. He acts like a teenager. He's actually in high school. He's actually a nerd. Like all that stuff is perfect. But like as Peter Parker, but like as Spider-Man, it doesn't work because Spider-Man's not supposed to be this like attachment of Tony Stark and Stark Industries and like have this like super powered metal suit that like works and all this stuff. He's supposed to be like this guy who got bit by a spider and like uses his own brain and his own talents and his own like strengths, you know, to like create this Spider-Man persona, you know, and like, you know, learn from his tragedies and like, you know, grows. He's a solo hero. He's not like this guy who's supposed to be like given these like things and then working with the Avengers on a day-to-day basis. That's like the biggest complaint I hear about Tom Holland's Spider-Man, right? And some people are okay with it. They're like, well, there's just a different like interpretation of the Spider-Man character. But like a lot of people aren't. And so like that person said, I forgot who it was, but they were like, this is 6 movies. And they're talking about 6 as in like these 3 movies plus like the 3 movies he was featured in. So I think that's Civil War and Infinity War and Endgame plus, you know, all the home, all the Spider-Man movies for real. 6 movies worth of origin story where it's like, yes, you start off with this Spider-Man who is like manufactured technically and created by Tony Stark, but by the end of it, you have the Spider-Man that you wanted. You have the Spider-Man who no one knows is Spider-Man. He's alone in the world, you know, and he doesn't have the tech. He just has himself, his sewing machine, and his powers. And that's it. And so I think that's just a really cool like way to kind of like bring it all back like full circle. It's like we started off with our version of Spider-Man, we brought all the Spider-Mans together, and now we're right back to like where the actual comic book Spider-Man is, where it's like, or not even comic book, but like where the it's not ideal, but like the real Spider-Man is. It's like this kid who happened to get bit by a spider, who happened to get like a real good life lesson from his dying uncle / aunt, I guess in this case, and who's going to use all that to, you know, take the responsibility of being a hero. And yeah, it took 6 freaking movies, but like, shoot, it's gonna be really cool to see like where this goes. It is gonna be really cool to see where this goes. And then like they're kind of like setting it up so that this Spider-Man is a college boy instead of a high school boy, which is like cool too, because like, excuse me, Spider-Man isn't just set in freaking college, like, I'm sorry, high school. Spider-Man grows up and he becomes like an older version of Spider-Man. Just like Into the Spider-Verse, you have young Peter Parker. Well, it's technically Miles Morales, but you have young Peter Parker in high school, but you like Peter Parker grows up and he's still Spider-Man. You know, he becomes an actual Spider-Man. Like he's Spider-Man. Like he grows up and becomes him. So I'm just excited to see what happens. I love Spider-Man as a character. I love him as a hero. I'm not like into the lore. Like I don't read comics like that. But Spider-Man always has like a special place in my heart. Again, I think it's because of like, just like X-Men will always have a special place in my heart. I think because I grew up with that in my life, that's why. So like, I'm always interested to see how they like kind of adapt the character. But so far, they're doing pretty good in my opinion. And I think, I don't know, man, the fact that they were able to pull those people in, Tobey Maguire, Andrew Garfield, and all the villain actors, like, it's so cool. And so like I said, like it's not a perfect movie. Like again, if you take out all the nostalgia factor, if Tobey Maguire and Andrew Garfield and all the villains, like the old actors of the villains weren't in the movie, would this movie be good? Would it be as hyped? I mean, first of all, I guess the whole plot would be, but like let's say the plot wasn't different, the exact same plot, except you have 2 random actors playing the 2 Spider-Mans, and then you have like 5 or 6 different actors playing the villains. You know, MCU always makes their own versions of the characters. So let's say like they brought in their own actors to like play a Spider-Man from this universe and a Spider-Man from this universe and a Electro from this, you know, basically the same exact characters but different actors that you don't even know who they are, or like maybe they're A-list actors but they're not the original actors from those movies. Would this still be as hyped as it is? I don't think so. I don't think so. I'm just gonna be honest. I don't think so, because the storyline as it is an okay storyline. There are a lot of things that, like, if you really think about it, it's just like, this doesn't make sense. And even if it does make sense, it's just like, but this could have gone like another way so easily that would have been better. But at the end of the day, it's about the feeling. Sometimes movies aren't about freaking, and films and just media in general, sometimes it's not about the logic behind it. Sometimes it's about the feeling and the experience and the moment. And in this moment, the feelings that I'm having is just that this movie is great. And maybe that's not fair. Maybe in a few years I'll be like, well, that wasn't, it wasn't right. No, it'll always be worth it, because that was freaking awesome. That was freaking awesome. It's awesome. Just like Endgame. Like Endgame, I do not like that movie. I think Infinity War was so much better than Endgame. I will never change my opinion on that. But like, I appreciate Endgame for the experience, the moment, and the feelings, because it finally ended this, this 10-year moment, of just the Infinity Saga. So it's gonna be the same thing for this. I don't care. I'm gonna put my glasses back on. Right, so thank you so much for watching. I can finally see. Thank you so much for watching. I know this is like all over the place, but like I said, like I didn't really plan. I just knew I wanted to talk about it. Something about like watching, I just want to talk about stuff. I just want to talk, especially when like people in my life don't want to talk about it. Not because they don't want to talk about it, but I guess they just don't have an interest. Like I just want to like let my thoughts out, because I still to this day cannot fathom that they got everyone back. That's crazy to me. So thank you so much for watching. Even though this was all over the place, if you watched the end, I really appreciate it. If you like the video, like the video. If you like me, subscribe. If you want to talk to me, hopefully about this freaking movie, leave a comment down below, or send me a message on any of my social media that will be linked down below or at the end of this video. Yeah, and I will see you guys on the next video. Bye. So one thing we're gonna do is we'll make this kind of like, it's not a mukbang, because like that's not the focus. The focus isn't food here. The focus is talking about Spider-Man, but I'm so hungry.